love story. Before civilization dawned, before language was invented, and before even fire was discovered, people understood the significance of weaving passion and beauty into words. In fact, the oldest love poem found is on a Sumerian clay tablet more than 4,000 years old. Myths and legend from every ancient culture tell the love story over and over again, whether it be Penelope and Odysseus, Changa and Hoyi, or Vishnu and Lakshmi. But one love story has been repeatedly twisted and silenced over the years: the gay love story. Today, let's first look at the history of homosexuality in literature, then analyze what the written word reveals about the gay and lesbian experience, before finally looking ahead to the future of LGBTQ free expression. In ancient times, homosexuality was out in the open, and on the most part, viewed positively. According to a Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy article published on August 6, 2002, ancient Greece detailed same-sex dating etiquette, sexual relations between men, and the philosopher Plato admired and respected gay men. Ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, and ancient China were said to be similar. So the question is, what happened to these open-minded civilizations? The answer begins in ancient Rome, the Holy Roman Empire, whose rapidly changing social and economic structures birthed the first anti-gay laws. The Bible was written in the 1st century Common Era, and texts from Leviticus, Romans, and Corinthians supported the rising homophobia. In Leviticus, sex between men is declared an abomination. But despite these new rules and laws, people were still mainly tolerant of gay people. LGBTQ pro-literature continued, and even the Gregorian Reform movement, who, according to Britannica, made laws about marriage much more strict and therefore resulted in much more severe punishments for acts of homosexuality, but these punishments were rarely acted upon. In fact, William Shakespeare wrote 126 sonnets about a male character with whom the narrator falls in love with. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? The narrator asks the fair youth. An essay on Aegon from March 18th, 2019, says that some argue that these poems are just about a strong friendship. The others, like C.S. Lewis, said that these poems were far from heterosexual. What really changed LGBTQ rights was the Age of Enlightenment. Doctors realized that sexuality was not the devil tempting people to sin, but instead an uncontrolled inclination. But based on years of growing oppression and countries' fascination with clear gender roles that made societal structures easy, they decided that those who were attracted to the same sex were so because they were diseased, and that they should be rehabilitated. The Crown versus Wilde was a tragic court case centered around the well-known playwright Oscar Wilde. A biography.com page updated on October 10, 2019, says that Oscar Wilde published the much admired and respected novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, a few years before the trial, his first and last book. Oscar Wilde was declared guilty at his trial, where the book's elegant descriptions of male beauty were used as proof that he was a homosexual. And as a biography.com page updated on July 15th, 2020 reports, he asked as the trial came to a close, "And I, my lord, may I say nothing?" He died 3 years after he carried out his sentence, penniless, at the age of 46 in 1900. But what we see with the coming of the 20th century is tentative publishments of more same-sex love stories. And these stories were revolutionary. They gave a voice to a group long oppressed. But what did these groups have to say when they finally could be able to speak. The Price of Salt was a lesbian romance published in 1952. It was an elegant book, but according to a New Yorker magazine article written by Margaret Talbot on November 23rd, 2015, the author Patricia Highsmith denied writing it for almost 40 years. What we see in The Price of Salt is a repeated theme throughout gay literature: denial. According to his New York Times article published on April 26, 2020, Jake Nevins explains that the trend is modern, mostly openly gay characters for whom self-denial and even outright deception have become a way of life. It's people become so used to lying to both themselves and others that it ruins their relationships and restrains their quality of life. So, as proof to back him up, he cites one of the most important gay literature books of all time. James Baldwin published Giovanni's Room in 1956. It is a sad story of a young man struggling to accept his sexuality as he falls in love with Giovanni. And as Baldwin says in an interview conducted by Richard Goldstein in the 80s, Giovanni's Room is not about homosexuality, but instead what happens if you don't love anybody at all. He says that if he hadn't written the book, he would have had to stop writing altogether. So the theme of gay literature has gone from silence, as shown by the many authors who kept their identity forever secret, like Marcel Proust, Virginia Woolf, and Ian Forster, to shame, felt by Oscar Wilde and Patricia Highsmith, and then to denial and deception, as shown by books like Giovanni's Room. It is a history of unrequited and doomed love. And other times in literature, gay romances are either banned or ignored. According to the National Coalition Against Censorship, dozens of books with LGBTQ content have been banned from libraries, including a sweet picture book about two male penguins who raise a chick in Central Park Zoo. And if you've ever read the Pulitzer Prize-winning masterpiece, The Color Purple, you know that it includes a moving romance between two women. But if you've only seen the movie, you might have missed this point entirely, as director Steven Spielberg boils the entire romantic plot to a single kiss. But something changed in 2017. That was a turning point in almost 2,000 years of oppression. And it was a book. What was so revolutionary about Andrew Sean Greer's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel Less was the happy ending. In a Sydney Morning Herald article from April 30th, 2019, Greer says that it was important for him to Arthur, as a queer character, to have a happy ending because he long wanted to read that book and he couldn't find it. He didn't think that anyone would read his book, but what he discovered is perhaps the future of gay literature: passionate, out in the open, and holding nothing back. And recently, it's not just gay authors who put gay characters into the world. Fellow prize-winning authors like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Michael Chabon, and Isabel Allende all write queer characters with their own love stories. Gay people are finally taking back the page. So I'd like to end with a quote from James Baldwin. James Baldwin lived his life as openly gay during very oppressive times. In the same Richard Goldstein interview, in which he fantasizes about a black mayor or a black president, he says, "I am working towards the New Jerusalem. I won't live to see it, but I do believe in it." He died in 1987, which was 27 years before, as documented by the White House Archives on June 9th, 2016. President Barack Obama declared the Defense of Marriage Act unconstitutional, therefore legalizing gay marriage in 2011. So though the story was hard to get through at times, we are going forward. We are going to that happy ending.